My name is Hannah. I'm 28 years old. My mother has a special talent. She can turn anything I do into something I owe her. If I succeed, it's because she sacrificed everything. If I fail, it's because I didn't listen to her. If I set a boundary, I suddenly become an ungrateful daughter who's forgotten where she came from. For a long time, I believed her. I believed my life was a debt I could never fully pay. Until one phone call about my little sister's birthday made everything painfully clear. Before I tell you about that call, you need to understand where I came from. Because this story didn't start with Chloe's birthday. It started years before either of us knew the word boundary existed. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, not the cute movie version of a small town, just small, quiet, cold in the winter, humid in the summer, and ordinary the rest of the time. We lived in a 2-bedroom house on a street where everyone knew everyone else's business. Our neighbors mowed their lawns every Saturday like it was a religious ritual. Mrs. Carter across the street would water her flowers at exactly 5 p.m., then stand there, watching our house, like we were her favorite TV show. From the outside, we looked normal. A mom, a dad, and eventually 2 daughters. Nothing fancy, nothing dramatic. Inside, it was a little different. My mom had me when she was 20. She never let me forget what that cost her. I gave up my dreams for you, Hannah. If it wasn't for you, I would have gone to college. You don't know what sacrifice really means. Sometimes she said it jokingly, with a half smile and a sigh. Sometimes she said it with tears in her eyes, late at night, holding a glass of wine. Sometimes she said it in the middle of an argument, like a weapon she knew would land. But she always said it. My dad lived with us, technically. He wasn't abusive. He wasn't cruel. He was just absent. He would wake up early, go to work at the factory, come home, sit in his recliner, and let the TV swallow him whole. I remember the glow of the television reflected in his glasses more than I remember the color of his eyes when he looked directly at me. Because he didn't look at me very often. He didn't ask questions like, "How was school? Are you okay? What do you want to be when you grow up?" He didn't say, "I love you" very often either. He was like furniture that paid bills, so it was mostly just me and my mom. At least, that's how she tells it. Whenever she retells our story, it's always framed like, it's been me and Hannah against the world since the beginning. She leaves out the part where she was the world I was trying to survive. When I was little, I thought my mom was magic. She could do everything. Cook, clean, work part-time, talk on the phone for an hour, and still somehow know exactly where my missing shoe was. She was loud. She was dramatic. She was big. She filled every room she walked into with her voice, her opinions, her emotions. If she was happy, everyone in the house felt it. If she was angry, everyone in the house braced for impact. I learned early that my survival depended on reading her mood like a weather report. Is today a storm day? Is today a don't ask for anything, don't need anything, just stay out of the way day? I became very good at it. When I was 11, my little sister Chloe was born. I remember the night my parents told me like it's engraved into my bones. I was sitting at the kitchen table, hunched over my math homework, eraser shavings all over the page. The kitchen light hummed, the fridge rattled, the smell of overcooked spaghetti sauce still hung in the air. My mom sat down across from me and folded her hands. "Hannah, we need to talk." My heart dropped. Those words never led anywhere good. I looked up, expecting news about money, or moving, or Grandma being sick. Instead, she said, "I'm pregnant." I stared at her, then at my dad, waiting for a smile, a laugh, some kind of excited energy. My dad rubbed his forehead and avoided my eyes. My mom burst into tears. Not happy tears. Panicked, overwhelmed. "How is this my life?" tears. "I can't do this again," she said, voice shaking. "I can't start over. Not now." My dad mumbled something, his voice low and defeated. "We'll figure it out, Deb," she snapped. "With what money, Tom? With what time? I'm already exhausted." Then she turned to me. Her eyes were red, mascara smudged under them like bruises. "Hannah," she said quietly. "You'll have to help. You're the big sister now." Help. That word sounded small, gentle, almost sweet, but it would become the main job description of my childhood. When Chloe was born, the house changed. Our small, tired home suddenly had this tiny, loud, demanding new center of gravity. Everything revolved around her, and by extension, around my mom. The first night Chloe came home, I remember lying in my bed, staring at the cracks in the ceiling. Chloe's cries bled through the thin walls, my mom's shushing, my dad's heavy footsteps. I waited for someone to come into my room and say, "Don't worry, get your rest, you're just a kid." No one did. By the second week, the requests began. "Hannah, help with the baby. Hannah, hand me the diapers. Hannah, can you clean the living room before your dad gets home? Hannah, start the laundry. I'm too tired." There was always a reason, always a justification. "You're so mature. You're not like other kids your age. You're my little helper." By 12, I could rock a baby to sleep in the middle of the night, change diapers half asleep, make mac and cheese and spaghetti without burning the house down, remember everyone's schedules better than any adult in the house. I'd come home from school, drop my backpack by the door, and I wouldn't even have both shoes off before I'd hear, "Can you grab her from her crib? I need to finish this." Or, "Can you watch her while I shower?" Hours slipped by like that. Cartoons replaced by baby shows, homework replaced by rocking and shushing. My homework got done late, at the kitchen table, with one ear always tuned to whether Chloe was about to cry again. My social life didn't really exist. I'd see girls from school posting birthday party pictures or sleepovers on social media. They'd ask me on Fridays, "Are you coming to the mall with us?" And my default answer became, "No, I can't. My mom needs me to help with my sister." Some would nod politely, some would stop asking. People outside the house thought I was responsible. Teachers would nod approvingly when I turned in assignments, exhausted but on time. "She's such a big help, like a little adult already," they'd say. My mom would smile, tilt her head and say, "Oh, I don't know what I'd do without her." I used to feel proud when she said that, like I was special, important. I didn't understand that it really meant, I don't know what I'd do if I had to handle my own responsibilities without putting them on my child. One Saturday, when I was 13, the pattern became painfully clear. I had been invited to my friend Megan's birthday party at the local skating rink. It was the first real party I'd been invited to in months. I had planned everything in my head, what I was going to wear, how I'd finally learn to skate without clinging to the wall like a terrified koala, how maybe, just maybe, I'd feel like a normal teenager for a few hours. That morning, Chloe woke up with a runny nose and a slight fever. My mom panicked like it was the end of the world. She called the doctor. She called my dad at work. She paced the kitchen in a worn-out robe, snapping at me whenever I asked a question. By noon, Chloe was clingy and miserable, red-nosed and whiny. I stood by the counter, already dressed for the party, shoes on, hair done, invitation sticking out of my bag. My mom turned to me, hair a mess, eyes wild. "Hannah," she said, "you'll have to stay home. I can't handle this." I felt it like a punch to the gut. Mom, it's Megan's party. I told her I was coming. I already—" She cut me off. "Do you think I planned for her to get sick today? Do you think I want this? I'm exhausted, Hannah. I need you. You're the only one I can count on." The guilt came like a wave. If I go, I'm selfish. If I stay, I'm a good daughter. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to say, "You're the mom. Be the mom." Instead, I stayed home, held Chloe while she dozed fitfully, watched the time crawl past. I missed the party. Again. That was my childhood in a nutshell. By 17, I had mastered invisibility. I did everything. No one noticed. I cleaned the kitchen before anyone asked. I helped Chloe with her homework. I listened to my mom's rants about money, about my dad, about her wasted life. I hid my emotions. I swallowed my anger. I survived by being silent, by being perfect. The few times I pushed back, it went badly. Once, when I was 16, I told my mom, "I feel like I'm more of a parent than a sister." She froze. Then her eyes filled with tears, and she shot back, "Oh, so now I'm a bad mother? After everything I've done for you? After I ruined my life having you?" The conversation ended with me apologizing for telling the truth. Then came college. Getting into college for me wasn't just about education. It was escape. It was oxygen. I spent late nights studying, filling out applications, writing essays about resilience and overcoming adversity, never once mentioning that my biggest obstacle lived in my house and called herself my mother. I got into my dream school, 3 states away, partial scholarship, perfect program, a chance at a life that didn't revolve around someone else's chaos. I ran to my mom, acceptance letter shaking in my hands. "Mom, I got in. They gave me a scholarship." Her face, unreadable. She stared at the paper like it was a bill she didn't remember agreeing to. Then she said quietly, "So, you really are going to leave me?" No congratulations, no pride, no, "I always knew you could do it." Just quiet guilt, like a shadow poured over my happiness. "I mean, who's going to help with Chloe? You know your father. He's useless with this stuff. And I thought you'd stay close. I thought you were different." I almost caved, almost let that familiar guilt sink its claws back into me. But something inside me, a small, stubborn voice, whispered, "If you don't leave now, you never will." I loved Chloe. I loved my family, in the complicated, painful way you love the people who shaped you and broke you at the same time. And for the first time, I loved myself enough to walk away. I took out loans. I applied for extra scholarships. I worked a part-time job at a cafe the summer before college, saving every tip like it was a brick in the road leading out of that house. My mom cried when I left for school. Not the "I'm proud of you" kind of tears. The "you're abandoning me and I won't forget it" kind. At the airport, she hugged me tight and whispered, "Don't forget where you came from. You owe this family everything." I didn't hug her back as tightly as she expected, but I still carried her words with me, like a chain I pretended was jewelry. College was eye-opening. For the first time in my life, no one banged on my door asking for help at 6 a.m. No one guilt-tripped me for studying instead of folding laundry. No one told me I was selfish for focusing on my own future. I didn't know what to do with that kind of freedom at first. The silence felt loud. The lack of crisis felt wrong. But slowly, I adjusted. I made friends. I figured out that I liked marketing, storytelling, understanding why people made the choices they did. I realized that not all families operated on guilt and obligation. I still called home. At first, every day, then a few times a week, then once a week. The pattern was always the same. "How are classes?" I'd ask. My mom would sigh dramatically. "Oh, you know, same old. Your father's useless. Chloe's growing up too fast. Everything's on my shoulders." Then, a little later in the call, "I wish I had someone here to help me, but you're off living your dream life." If I mentioned stress or exams, she would say, "You think you're stressed? Try being a mother." The message was always clear. Your struggles are small. Mine are real. You exist because I sacrificed. You owe me. After college, I moved to a mid-sized city, rented a tiny apartment with peeling paint and noisy neighbors, started a marketing job that actually paid my bills, started a life that was mine. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I bought my own groceries with my own money. I chose my own furniture. I decided what hung on my walls. No one stormed into my room demanding where I'd been or why I hadn't called. I called home. I visited on holidays. I helped when I could. When my mom hinted at money problems, I'd send a little. 50 here, 100 there. "Just for groceries," she'd say. Then it became, "We're a little behind on the electric bill. The car insurance is due. You know your sister needs new clothes for school." Every interaction came with a shadow. "You left us. You forgot us. You owe this family." And because I had been raised to believe that, I kept paying. With money, with time, with guilt. Last month, Chloe turned 17. I knew her birthday was coming. I had already planned to send her a gift, something small but meaningful. We texted sometimes. She'd tell me about school, about her friends, about how tired Mom always was. I saw myself in her messages, the way she softened everything, the way she downplayed her own needs. The night before her birthday, my phone rang late. My mom's name flashed on the screen. I almost didn't answer. It was a long day at work. I was tired, but the guilt was still strong, so I picked up. "Hey, Mom." Her voice was calm, too calm. That specific tone she used when she had already decided something for me. "We're throwing Chloe a birthday party," she said. "She deserves something nice. 17 is a big year, you know?" I smiled, picturing Chloe's face lighting up. "That's great. She'll love that." There was a pause. Then my mom said lightly, "You can send money, right? I told her you would." The words hung there. Not a question, an expectation, a debt being collected. "How much are you thinking?" I asked carefully. "Oh, I don't know," she said, dragging out the words. 300? Maybe 4? We want to do it right. Cake, decorations, food for everyone. You know how it is. And you're the one with the good job now." $300 to $400. That wasn't help. That was rent money. Groceries for a month. An entire chunk of my adult life handed over without question. I went quiet. On the other end, I heard her sigh. "Don't start," she said. "You know we don't have it. Your father's hours got cut. I've been doing everything I can. Chloe's been looking forward to this. I already told her big sister would take care of it." There it was. Not just guilt. Leverage. She had used Chloe. Used my love for my sister as a credit card with no limit. "I'll think about it," I said slowly. My mom's tone shifted, sharp. "Think about it? Hannah, what is there to think about? We're family. We've always helped each other. After everything I've done for you, you're really going to hesitate over a little money?" A little money. I felt something in me crack. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet, internal snap. I remembered being 13, missing Megan's party. I remembered being 16, apologizing for suggesting I felt like Chloe's third parent. I remembered the airport, her whisper in my ear, "You owe this family everything." I realized in that moment that my mother didn't see my help as help. She saw it as payment on a debt she believed I would never finish paying. And for the first time, I wondered, what would happen if I finally stopped paying? If I stopped being the debt she expected me to be? After we hung up, I sat on my couch in my little apartment, phone still in my hand, staring at nothing. The city hummed outside my window. Cars passed, people laughed on the sidewalk below. Life kept moving. Inside, time felt frozen. I spent hours reflecting, not just on the phone call, on my entire life. I remembered my childhood, small victories, tiny defeats. The first time I stayed up late to finish a school project after putting Chloe to bed. The first time I got an A and no one noticed because my mom was too busy fighting with my dad about money. The first time I realized that helping had become my full-time job. Every moment of quiet sacrifice, every burden no one acknowledged. I thought about how my mother told our story, how, in her version, she was the hero, the martyr, the one who gave up everything. In her story, I was the debt, the obligation, the proof of her sacrifice. I imagined a different story, one where I was a person, not an invoice, not a living receipt. I imagined telling her no, not harshly, not cruelly, just firmly, calmly, finally. I can't send that much. I have my own life to take care of. I am not your emergency fund. I am your daughter. The idea terrified me. My body reacted like I was planning a crime. My heart raced, my palms sweated, my chest tightened. because in my family, saying no wasn't just setting a boundary, it was betrayal. I thought about Chloe, her 17th birthday, the party she deserved, the moments she had probably imagined, friends, music, cake, feeling special for once. Did I want to ruin that? Of course not. Would I help her? Yes, absolutely. But did that mean I had to fund the entire production because my mother refused to budget or plan? Did loving my sister mean continuing to let myself be used? I grabbed my journal, the one I barely wrote in because life was always too busy. I opened to a blank page and, for the first time, I wrote down everything. I feel like my life is a debt, I wrote. I feel like I wasn't born. I was borrowed. I wrote about the nights with Chloe, the missed parties, the way my mom cried when I left for college, the way she always managed to bring every conversation back to how much she had suffered. By the time I stopped writing, my hand ached, but my chest felt a little lighter. I took a deep breath and made a decision. I would help, but on my terms, not on hers. The next day, I texted Chloe directly. "Hey, birthday girl, what do you really want for your birthday?" She replied almost immediately. "Haha, honestly, I don't know. Mom's been going crazy planning this big party. I told her I don't need anything huge." There it was, confirmation. "Would you rather something smaller? Something just for you?" I typed. She sent a smiley face. "Honestly? Yeah. I kinda just wanted a nice dinner with a few friends. But you know Mom." I did. I knew her very well. I called my mom that evening. She answered on the second ring. "So, did you transfer the money?" she asked, skipping any greeting. I exhaled slowly. Here we go. "Mom," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I've thought about it. I can't send $300 or $400. Silence. Then a sharp inhale. "I knew it," she snapped. "I knew the second you left you'd forget where you came from. You think you're too good for us now, don't you?" She answered on the second ring. "So, did you transfer the money?" she asked, skipping any greeting. I exhaled slowly. Here we go. "Mom," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I've thought about it. I can't send $300 or $400. Silence. Then a sharp inhale. "I knew it," she snapped. "I knew the second you left you'd forget where you came from. You think you're too good for us now, don't you?" "No," I said calmly. "I don't think I'm too good. I just have my own bills, my own life. I can't keep emptying my bank account every time there's a new crisis." "It's not a crisis. It's your sister's birthday," she shouted. "God, Hannah, listen to yourself. She worships you. She tells everyone how amazing her big sister is, and this is how you repay her?" I closed my eyes. She was good. She knew exactly where to aim. "I love Chloe," I said, "and I'm going to send her a gift. I'll send some money too, but it's going to be what I can afford, not what you demand. I'm not paying for a big party you decided to throw without even asking me." She scoffed. "Oh, please. Afford. You have a good job. No kids, no real responsibilities. What do you even spend your money on? Yourself? Must be nice." There it was again. The assumption that my life, my work, my effort were all optional, that any comfort I allowed myself was selfish. "I spend it on rent, on food, on my future," I said, "because I'm building a life where I'm not constantly drowning in someone else's needs." My mom went quiet. When she spoke again, her voice was icy. "I can't believe you're doing this," she said. "After everything I've done for you, I could have given you up, you know. I could have chosen myself, but I didn't. I chose you, and this is the thanks I get." The old me would have broken right there, would have apologized, would have offered more than she even asked for. But something had shifted in me. I realized that my mother's version of love always came with a bill, and I was tired of being charged interest. "I didn't ask to be born, Mom," I said softly. "I am grateful for what you did. I really am. But being my mother was your choice, not my debt." Silence. Heavy, echoing silence. Then, "You're heartless," she whispered. "I don't even recognize you anymore." "I'm finally starting to recognize myself," I replied. "And I think that's what scares you." We didn't fix it in that moment. There was no big apology, no sudden realization on her part. What we had was distance. A new kind of distance. Not just the miles between my city and that small town in Ohio, but the emotional distance between who I used to be and who I was becoming. We ended the call with clipped words and cold air between us. No, I love you. No, talk to you later. Just an abrupt goodbye and the hollow click of the call ending. I stared at my phone for a long time afterward, half expecting it to ring again, half expecting a long, angry text. Nothing came. The silence that followed was loud, but it was also honest. For the first time, I hadn't caved. For the first time, I hadn't bought my way back into her approval. I felt sick. I felt guilty. I felt free, all at the same time. I sent Chloe a message. "Hey, I sent you some money directly. It's not a lot, but it's for you, not the party. Use it on something that actually makes you happy. Dinner with friends, a dress you love, anything." A few minutes later, she replied, "Thank you. Seriously, you didn't have to. I love you." No guilt, no expectation, just gratitude. I sat back on my couch and looked around my tiny apartment. The secondhand couch, the plants on the windowsill I kept forgetting to water, the stack of mail on my coffee table. This small, imperfect space was mine, paid for with my work, maintained with my effort, filled with my choices. And for the first time, I realized I didn't owe anyone this. Not the rent, not the late nights, not the years I spent clawing my way out of that house. I had paid for this life with my time, my energy, my courage. I thought about the little girl I used to be, the one who rocked her baby sister to sleep at midnight, the one who stared at the ceiling, wishing someone would tell her, "You can rest, you're just a kid." She never heard those words, so I decided to say them to myself now. You can rest. You're allowed to have a life that's yours. You're allowed to keep what you earn. You're allowed to say no. The next few days were strange. My mom didn't call. I didn't call either. There was a part of me that wanted to break the silence, to fix it, to smooth things over like I always did. But another part of me, the part that had started writing in that journal, the part that had finally said no, told me to wait, to sit with the discomfort, to let the new boundary settle in. Chloe sent me a photo a couple of days after her birthday. She was at a small restaurant with two of her friends. There was a simple cake on the table, a couple of balloons behind them. Her smile was real. "Best birthday," her text said underneath the photo. "Thank you for making it about me, not about everyone else." I stared at that message for a long time, because that's what this had always been about. My mother made everything about her sacrifice, her struggle, her pain. Even my existence was a story about what she had given up. But Chloe just wanted a day that was about her. And in choosing to set a boundary with my mother, I had finally given my sister something I had never had at her age: permission to be the main character in her own life. It hit me then. Saying no to my mother wasn't just for me. It was for Chloe. So she could see that it was possible. Possible to love your family and still protect yourself. Possible to care without being consumed. My mother will probably tell this story differently. In her version, I'm the cold daughter who moved away and chose money over family. I'm the ungrateful child who forgot who paid for her clothes, her food, her opportunities. In her story, my no is betrayal. But in my story, it's a beginning. The beginning of a life where love isn't measured in how much I'm willing to lose, where sacrifice isn't the only language we speak, where my worth isn't tied to how much I can endure. I don't know what will happen with my mom and me. Maybe she'll never understand. Maybe she'll never see me as anything other than a walking debt. But I'm done trying to earn a love that only exists when I'm useful. I will keep loving my sister. I will keep building my own life. I will keep choosing myself, even when my hands shake and my voice trembles. Because I am not a bill to be paid. I am not proof of someone else's sacrifice. I am not a receipt of the life my mother wished she had. I am a person. I am a daughter. I am a sister. And finally, I'm starting to recognize myself.